We zoom in to the upper city of Almiraj and we find ourselves within the Emberheart Forge just a few days before the New Year's celebration. The Emberheart Forge was shuttered for New Year's Eve preparations, its great doors closed and its windows dimmed against the growing glow of the city. Festival week was one of the few times the forge allowed itself to rest, though rest was a generous word for any place Navina Emberheart Venfir had recently occupied. Inside, Navina's mentor, the rock gnome Mortimer Ignat, worked alone, or rather, mostly alone. Rumana and Robbie, the tiefling siblings Navina had sponsored for the new year, were technically helping. Rumana, older and sharper than she let on, had taken it upon herself to organize a tray of components into patterns only she understood. Robbie, younger and far more curious, was perched atop a crate he had no permission to climb, whispering encouragement to the half-finished parade construct as if it might listen. The serpentine construct loomed, vibrant and half alive even in its unfinished state. Decorative plates lay scattered around it, some clearly moved and some definitely missing. Mortimer pretended not to notice. Navina had stepped out an hour earlier to fetch last-minute fittings, trusting Mortimer to keep both forge and children intact. He had just finished hammering a stubborn brace into alignment when the front door eased open. A man stepped inside. He was tall and striking in the way of someone who had not yet learned to soften himself. Messy black hair fell into his eyes, his coat cut in the style of the Reach but lacking the polish common to Almiraj. Road dust clung to his boots. He paused just inside the threshold, posture tight, eyes moving quickly. He glanced at the window first, then the walls, then the forge floor. Only after that did his gaze land on the towering construct and the two tiefling children circling it like curious birds. The man muttered a curse under his breath, quiet and exhausted. Mortimer cleared his throat. The stranger jumped hard enough to rattle a rack of fittings. I didn't think anyone was in here, he said quickly. It's a forge, Mortimer replied, not looking up from his work. It doesn't stop breathing just because the city's lighting lanterns. The man swallowed and forced himself to stand straighter. I'm, looking for work, he said too fast. Name's, Bill. Bill. Mortimer noted it without comment. And you came into a closed forge, Mortimer said, hopping down from his bench. Because you thought we were hiring? The man hesitated. Maybe, he said. Maybe I just needed somewhere to stand for a minute. His eyes flicked once more towards the windows. Whatever he feared was not there. Let me see your hands, Mortimer said. After a pause, Bill held them out. Scars, crystal scoring, fine filament cuts. Mortimer frowned. They were the wrong scars. Not the layered calluses of long-term craft, not the clean mistakes of repetition. These were irregular, patchwork. The kind that came from someone forcing their way through tools and processes they didn't truly own. A dabbler, or something else pretending to be one. Mortimer grunted. You've handled metal before? The man nodded quickly. Once or twice. And where'd you learn? Here and there. Mortimer wiped his hands on a cloth. I don't hire liars. The man stiffened, fear flaring openly now. But, Mortimer added, I do hire people who need a place to catch their breath. The relief that crossed the man's face was immediate and unguarded, the kind that comes from someone who hasn't been offered grace in a long while. You sweep, Mortimer said, sort parts, Touch nothing marked Emberheart, which is everything. And don't teach the children anything clever. Robbie grinned immediately. Bill nodded fast. Yes, sir. Thank you. Don't pretend you know what you don't. Break something, and I'll feed you to the pressure furnace. Moments later, Navina returned, arms full of brass fittings and Solaris components, the forge brightening with her presence even before she spoke. She took in the scene in a single glance. Mortimer, the stranger, the children, and the construct. Rumana leaned close to Robbie and whispered something that made them both giggle. Mortimer didn't look at Navina. He pointed at Bill instead. "This is Bill," he said. "Temporary help." Then, without waiting for objection, he added, "And you're assisting with the finishing touches on the parade construct." Bill froze. Rumana perked up immediately. Robbie clapped once, delighted. Mortimer finally looked up at the stranger, eyes sharp and unyielding. "Congratulations," he said. "You've been voluntold." Bill hesitated, then stepped closer to the construct, studying its shape, its balance, the way it caught the light. He didn't reach for tools. He didn't pretend confidence. He just looked. His eyes tracked patterns, stress points, alignment flows. He nodded at the right moments. He asked careful questions. When he spoke, it was tentative, but precise. The language of someone who understands the theory far better than the practice. Two minds stood near the same creation now, approaching it from different angles. Festival week or not, the Emberheart Forge had acquired a new complication. And whatever shadow Bill carried with him, it had just been placed directly beside Navina Emberheart, right where it could no longer hide.